Just hit a button, Morty. Give me a beat.
Oh man, okay, alright,
Sevilla 1 Wolves 1 a tactical analysis. Why this thing is Wolves' biggest problem. If you're looking for cheap, good quality jerseys, then head over to www.jerseyfever.com where they have new season's jerseys available for just $25 and retro jerseys as well. Also, if you use the coupon code Atlantis Football, you'll get 5% off, and a link to the website will be in the description below. So going into the game, Lopetegui lined up his side in a 4-3-3 shape with Bono in goal, Koundé and Diego Carlos as the centre-back pairing, with Reguilón at left-back, Jesus Navas at right-back, and a midfield three of Fernando as the deepest, with Banega and Jordan either side of him. Ocampos started on the left of the front three, Suso on the right, and Al-Nesri started up front. Nuno set up Wolves in a 5-3-2 shape with Rui Patricio in goal, a back three of Bolly and Roman Saiz either side of Conor Cody, with Doherty and Johnny the wing backs. Neves played in the centre of a midfield three with Moutinho and Dendoncker either side of him, and Adama Traore started up front alongside Jimenez. Before the analysis starts, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss out on all my tactical analysis videos coming up on the Champions League games. And after this video, check out some of my other videos, like for example my 4-part series analysing Adama Traore, which will be linked in the description below. So from the start of the game, we saw Wolves defend in a 5-3-2 shape. They didn't look to press aggressively high up the pitch, instead they sat off and allowed Sevilla to have the ball in their own half. In possession, we saw Sevilla use a 2-3-4-1 shape almost, with the centre-backs being the deepest horizontal line of possession. The three central midfielders all sitting relatively deep, which allowed both fullbacks to push forward aggressively, being positioned as high as natural wingers would, which in turn allowed the two wide attackers, Ocampos and Suso, to move in field, looking to receive the ball in the half spaces. This is a trademark possession shape to use against the back five, which was very astute tactically from Lopetegui. This is because when playing against a side that defend in a 5 at the back system, you want to have the advance width in order to force the opposition side back into a flat back 5 and therefore give you more space in midfield. If you don't have this advance width, the wingbacks can sit higher up the pitch, effectively creating a flat 5 in midfield when in a 3-5-2 shape, closing down the space in central positions. But by pushing Reguilón and Navas higher up the pitch, Lopetegui was forcing Johnny and Doherty to drop back with them, creating a flat back 5. When the ball was shifted out wide, we would see the Wolves wide central midfielders move across and out of the midfield line to close down the space. Here we also saw another clever tactical move from Lopetegui. Instead of instructing his wide central midfielders to sit high up the pitch in central positions, he instructed them to play wide across the pitch. He used Banega as a carragher at times, which is a central midfielder who drops into these wide positions vacated by the fullbacks. Because of Wolves' system, the spaces in deep wide areas were so massive because of the midfield three and subsequent back 5 behind them. Banega was therefore able to get a lot of time on the ball in these positions, allowing him to dictate the game, playing as like a football version of a quarterback. When Wolves were able to regain possession, which was pretty infrequent, with Sevilla having 75% possession in the game, it was obvious what their point of progression was going to be. I spoke about what I meant by the term point of progression in my analysis of Manchester United's Europa League tie against Copenhagen, which will be linked in the description below. I just use this term to describe how a side looks to progress the ball up the pitch, whether it's through short passes through the centre of the pitch, a counter-attack, or through long passes up the field. Wolves were definitely using the latter. When the back three of Cody, Bolly or Saiz received the ball, they instantly looked to play long passes up to Traore or Jimenez. However, Sevilla recognised this was going to be the tactic that Wolves used, and so did this to counter. They defended in a 4-5-1 shape but dropped their midfield and defence very deep, stopping space in behind their backline from being created for the front two to run into, and used El Nassiri and either Banega or Jordan pushing up from the midfield line, depending on what side the ball was on, as a pressing front two which would aggressively close down the centre backs. This seemed like an unusual pressing tactic, as if you wanted to press high, you'd usually want your defensive shape to be vertically compact and not have massive distances between the front line press and the midfield line, as this would negate the point of a high press, allowing the opposition to play through it easily. However, this was actually a clever tactic. Lopetegui knew that Wolves rarely ever have the centre-backs play a pass into the midfield line. They usually look to bypass the middle third and go straight for the forward line, so the midfield didn't have to be as high, and instead they and the back line could drop deeper to deal with the Wolves' long balls. By having the front two press aggressively, this forced the Wolves centre-backs to rush their long passes, making them less accurate and handing the ball back to Sevilla. What Wolves should have done is to simply look to play through the Sevilla press by having the three centre-backs just play short passes between the Sevilla frontline press into Neves and Moutinho, but for whatever reason Wolves didn't adapt their play. However, we did see the effectiveness of Wolves' quick transition in attack on one occasion. Traoré was able to pick up the ball in the centre of the pitch in the Wolves half and was able to powerfully dribble away from all the Sevilla players who couldn't match him for pace or strength. And eventually he runs away from Fernando into a one-on-one position with the keeper, and he's brought down and the penalty is awarded. The resulting penalty from Jimenez was saved by Bono and the chance was squandered by Wolves. But nevertheless, this pattern of play showcased Adama Traoré's ability, and you can see my full analysis of Traoré where I look at him from a tactical point of view and where he would fit in at other clubs by clicking the link to the series in the description below. This was a rare attack from Wolves as Sevilla continued to dominate possession. It was clear that their point of progression seemed to be through the centre of the pitch by playing incisive passes into Ocampos, Suso and Geordie moving between the lines in behind the Wolves midfield three. However, despite Sevilla's positioning in possession being perfect, I felt that apart from Banega, they really didn't try to play any of those incisive passes into the players between the lines quickly enough and were more concerned about keeping hold of the ball, which resulted in a lot of circulation of the ball from one side to the other, but not a lot of penetration into the Wolves' defensive third. Going into the second half, we did see Sevilla continue with their press on the centre-backs, but their backline seemed to drop even deeper, continuing to nullify Wolves' ability to play balls in behind Sevilla's backline for Traoré and Jimenez from deep. However, Traoré did look most threatening when Wolves were able to work the ball into Jimenez quickly, when the backline was stretched and there was space wide of the centre-backs for Traoré to peel off and run into. However, Wolves didn't do this enough with them not playing enough low direct passes into Jimenez's feet, and when they did get into good passing positions, they didn't have the ability to play an accurate pass to release Traoré. You would have expected this to be an obvious tactic with Sevilla's fullbacks pushing so far up the pitch. Wolves should have been looking for Neves in particular to play long passes into the channels from his own defensive third. However, Wolves didn't do this enough and instead resorted to long balls through the centre of the pitch, which was just handing the ball back to Sevilla. The main problem for Wolves was that they were allowing Sevilla to move into their half far too easily, with the lack of pressure they were applying to the ball. The Sevilla centre-backs had free rein to dribble into the Wolves half and pick a pass. This meant that Wolves were constantly penned into their own half, forced to do the majority of the running as Sevilla worked the ball from side to side. We saw Sevilla use Ocampos and Suso in more central positions. El Nesri was also pulling out wider on the left a lot more, whilst Ocampos was essentially playing as a second striker, looking to make runs in behind the Wolves back line as he did here. Wolves continued to look poor in possession. Rather than playing a simple series of passes to play around the disjointed Sevilla press, they seemed adamant on playing long direct balls upfield, but this just isolated the two strikers, who weren't able to get the ball under control in any dangerous positions. With Wolves sitting very deep on the edge of their own box for long spells, this meant that Sevilla were able to get in behind their midfield three far more often. We see here that Banega is able to advance, and despite the Wolves system sitting very deep, Sevilla are able to feed the ball into Banega, who receives it on the edge of the box. It seemed like only a matter of time before Sevilla got one big chance, and surprisingly, it took to the 87th minute. The ball came back to Banega in a deep crossing position from a corner. Ocampos is positioned at the near post, but Jimenez doesn't anticipate the cross, so isn't able to clear it at the front of the box. And Cody isn't close enough to Ocampos to challenge him in the air, so the Argentine is able to flick the ball on past Patricio, sending Sevilla through to the semi-finals versus Manchester United. So overall, even though Lopetegui did get his possession system spot on from a positional point of view, and his disjointed press was actually very clever and effective, this defeat has to be on Nuno, who played into Sevilla's hands completely, with his overcautious defensive system and his over-reliance on long direct passes to progress the attack. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, then give it a like and share it. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss out on my other tactical analysis of the Champions League games coming up later on in the week. For cheap football jerseys, check the link in the description below and use the code Atlantis Football for 5% off, and also check out some of my other videos which will also be linked in the description.